to take the key back, and there were only 2 lifts working. It was really slow. We waited around for about, I don't know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And when I get downstairs, I get down there, then I have to wait to come back up, and then I bump into Katie, who's just been told by the porter that the second lift has gone out of commission. There's only 1 lift working. So then we come all the way back up, and when we get to the 8th floor, there's an enormous crowd of people on the 8th floor trying to escape, just like everyone waiting. Sorry. So, right, now, how much?
3,000.
Okay, it's on its way. Where do I start? Do you want to read the whole thing?
No.
All right, cool. So what bit do you want me to read?
It's an atmosphere.
I don't know how to write the conclusion.
Right, okay. Let me just have a quick look through it.
So that's the idea, like how I draw last night, but it's more kind of this thing, like this multi-purpose roof.
So, that might be a clue, yeah? That your conclusion should probably involve something about this, addressing these questions.
Yeah.
Yeah?
It's just this part.
All the dissertation divide into 1, 2, 3. Now it divided into 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. First is about the history, both in China and the West, and then this is research about the West, and this is Chinese, and then make the conclusion. But today I talked to David. He told me to add some information about the prisoner life and some sense about the society in chapter 1.
Okay, yeah.
Talk about the prison infection.
Okay. That's not a problem.
Yeah, but I don't know the connection this and with others, and I don't know how to draw the conclusion. And
in conclusion, I would say
this is last.
No, but you've got. I'm just sort of presenting this up. So you've got those 3 points about the contribution to knowledge, yeah. So 3.
But this structure here it doesn't have roof, so the roof is here only.
That one, second one, is that, isn't it? Really. So the third one. The third one is the appropriate suggestions.
But what it means to be this side is where the market is. So it's a multi-purpose square that has a roof on it. That's the main idea of it.
And so I think that is the kind of key thing. You might write try writing 1,000 words about that. You might not get 1,000 words out of it, but you might get 750, yeah? But that will be enough, because with a bit of introduction, with a bit of sort of saying, a review of what you've already said at the start, you'd end up with 1,000 words in total. But if you try writing 1,000 words about appropriate suggestions for what you think should happen, yeah? Now that might be architectural, it might be non-architectural. It might be, yeah, okay, Guantanamo Bay. You know, there'd be lots of there'll be sort of open prison models.
Oh yeah.
In Scandinavia, in particular, huh?
Yeah, I know open prison.
Yeah. Now, in China, traditional
model,
open, yeah, and some new as yet undefined ones, yeah. So you might say, obviously, in some situations, yeah, there might be traditional models might be re-employed, but they could still be improved, yeah, because the models, the prison, if you take the example of British prisons, they were designed for a population which was much smaller than currently live in them. Yeah, so they're overcrowded, and they don't have, you know, they don't have adequate facilities, yeah? Sanitary, social. The intention, as you'll know from all this, was that the prison was a machine for curing people. But in fact, what it's become is really, really horrible. And so it's kind of, if it's to go back to that, the traditional prisoners go back to that idea of being somewhere which is curing people of their criminality, then it needs better facilities, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first thing would be improving the traditional. That would be, that would be one. Then there would be the appropriateness of open prison models. Yeah. So for that's to do with certain types of category of prisoner, isn't it? So if they're a danger to people or to themselves, they can't be in open prisons. But if it's fraud, it's to do with money, if you keep a total control over what they do with money, they can't defraud people. They can, they have to live a normal life, but they can do that in a kind of open environment where they don't have to be contained quite as heavily. Yeah, and so they could be. I don't know. Are there open prisons in China? I have no idea.
I know no open.
No.
Yeah.
So that in itself would be radical. Yeah? Maybe appropriate. Yeah? Because obviously, I don't want to generalise, but because the Chinese economy is growing very fast, or has grown very fast, it's likely there is criminality associated with money, really, with just fraud, bankers and high officials who are corrupt, but they're not murderers or rapists. They're not attacking people. They just want money. They're greedy, and so they could be in open prisons, So that would be a change, wouldn't it? And then there are obviously new models which aren't necessarily some which are not architectural, Yeah. You know, which would be obviously tags and electronic surveillance and always having your phone on you so they know where you are, right? Which are non-architectural but are kind of spatial. It might be that you have to live in a certain town. I don't know. You need to, I'm making these up, but you need to kind of come up with some suggestions. And then say you've got those 3 examples, yeah. And if you write 250 words on each, which is only, half a page, you've virtually got it done, haven't you? Huh?
What I write is, firstly, I should divide the prison into different times.
Well, I've just come up with that now. You might come up with a different division, but that's my suggestion because from what you've got here.
Oh.
Yeah. I would have thought you'd want to talk about in contemporary prisons. You'd want to talk about some open prisons in here. Because there must be some good examples in Scandinavia.
I had told the open prison here.
Okay. But when I look at this, what's in here at the minute is still quite
I haven't written.
Restricted one, you haven't written it yet. Okay. But there will be some, yeah?
No.
And so then you're looking at then applying those to the Chinese context. Yeah? Which is, the thing about China is it's very big. Obviously you've got a very big population, but you've got an enormous landmass as well, yeah? So where these things are located can change as well.